German engineering, that's what it is. Oh no! So if you own an E46 and you ever get into an accident, this thing blows. So this is the positive battery terminal, and this thing here is a fuse. And when it blows, this thing just pops. You see this shiny part, shiny metal sticking out of the plastic. That's the fuse. If we look at or compare this to the same contraption that hasn't been blown, the insulation of the wire goes into this black housing. Yeah, there's nothing, and the wire is tight, so it doesn't really have any movement here. And when the fuse blows, this thing just pops, like I said, and the wire is loose. It doesn't come out. I don't think it can. Well, I can cut this open, but in a nutshell, that's how this fuse works. So what happens next? If this happens, I should really cut this open and see what's inside of it. What you do next, you buy a repair kit, and this repair kit is a wire like this. It's got about 1.5 feet long. It's got this something like this on the end, and it's got thread in it. So basically the idea here is to, since this factory cable it goes all the way to somewhere under the hood, or to the front battery terminal up under the hood. And so you can replace the whole cable, just buy the whole cable, I guess, or you can buy like I said, this replacement, or a repair kit. Yeah, I guess that's what I was thinking. So the repair kit comes with a couple of things, and this is a used one and it's kind of broken, so I'm trying to still make some use of it, I guess. But in a nutshell, you buy this repair kit and threaded bushing. The other part, the important part of this is, that's a broken one, is this contraption here. It's basically a wedge or kind of compression type of connector, I guess. So what you do, so you have to cut the cable, strip the insulation about 10, 12, 15 millimeters long, and then you have to use this thing. So this cable now slides into, well, since it's broken, it kind of doesn't represent the situation, so I'm trying still trying to use it, because these things are super expensive. So basically you slide the cable that you cut the factory and that goes into the car into this type of looks like a bolt really. And the whole idea is there's a taper inside of this nut. You slide the nut over, you put a regular nut behind it, and when you start torquing this nut, it starts to pull the bolt into this bushing type of a nut. It's basically a bushing with a taper, but it does look like a nut. So you hold this with a wrench and then just use this nut to pull the bolt with the cable into it, and it compresses around the cable. So the thing is, yeah, the bottom line, the point is that you don't try to solder this heavy gauge. It's like a 0 gauge or 1 gauge cable size. Yeah, like 10 millimeters in diameter. And it's a multi-strand, like a million of strands. Oh no. And I'm going to try to show you this one if I manage to make it work. So what happens after that, when the bolt is all the way into the bushing, I guess, let's call it bushing, then you just thread this inside of you take this and you thread this inside of this the extension. Now it's sort of an extension, I guess. So basically it goes in like so. Right, so you would have your regular cable. Yeah, well, do you have like tweezers or something? I dropped that thing again behind
where?
Behind
what?
Behind the tire.
Oh, I probably should remove the tire anyways.
Well, it's right here. If you had the small
No, because
plug.
I gotta get that washer out anyway.
Well, let's move to get the tire out then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically the idea.
That's how it works.
Yep. And then it just, but you still kind of need to use I guess a big huge shrink tube, because you cannot leave this out in open, right?
Yeah, I have a big shrink tube.
Right. So, but does the kit come with a shrink tube?
No, she had to buy. Well, maybe the
Well, like the original.
probably.
Yeah, because this all needs to be insulated. Right. Well, let's get that thing out. And then you hold it like this, and it's like 22 here, and you turn this knot. It will drive the bolt inside of the bushing, and it will clamp around the cable I was cut. And since this was broken, I'm trying to hold the broken tab with the clamp, and it keeps sliding out, so I'm going to gently tap it back in place and keep going until until it bottoms out or something. Well, suppose I can cut this. You kind of have to put this all inside of a shrink tube or wrap it up real good, because, well, the worst case scenario, if this cable pops out, you don't want to really any of this touch any of mass ground. Cut it. Not happening. These are good clamps. This is how much of insulation I stripped, because at about 10 to 15 millimeters. This is a really high precision job. And beating things with not even a hammer. Don't ever use inappropriate tools to hammer things in place. Well, you can use a wrench, but I figured I can hold it with the pliers. And it bottoms out. So by the end of that procedure, you have your original cable that has been cut, installed on the, terminated, I guess, with this thing on the end of it. And that's what it looks like, basically. So, like I said, this is the cable that goes into the car itself and comes out under the hood. And it was cut. So this was cut, and like I said, I cut it like this short, and realistically, so you would have to cut it. You can see that to keep this cable's length original, this is that one of those plastic tabs that holds it, and this tab is right here on the original. So they mean to cut, BMW means expect you to cut this cable somewhere right here behind this metal thing that's behind the seat. That means exactly what I don't want to do. You have to pull this cable. You don't have to remove the seat, you have to pull the cable wherever that goes. There's a bush, like a grommet or something right here, a rubber grommet. Well, I guess it's not a big deal to remove this bolster of the rear seat, but I figured that makes little sense, since this cable becomes by a foot longer, and that doesn't really change much as far as the electrical goes. So what happens when this fuse blows is that your car still has electrical, like everything turns on, but the starter does not work. So you can still turn the ignition on and such, but you would not be able to crank the starter. In any case, this is the terminate, and now this screws into here, or this repair kit part with a cable battery terminal, and the fuse just threads on this bolt like so. And then you can, well, no, the thing that I should do is just put a piece of a shrink tube over it. I guess tape it, shrink tube it. Take this piece of a shrink tube. This is a 2-inch 50 millimeters 3:1 shrink ratio, and the length of this, you can see it's about 150 millimeters. So I'm going to slide this on, and I'm going to now put these together. These two Just turn it like this. I guess it just bottoms out. So this part is 17 millimeters. I'll keep holding this with the pliers and then just torque this. Love tools. Okay, so it bottoms out. Guess I can just torque it. So you end up with this huge piece of metal on the wire. I'm just going to use this cloth tape. Well, you better use a regular electrical, I guess. Yeah, just regular electrical tape would probably be fine. So there's this huge blob. Now I'm going to put this over it. I don't think it will actually close. Yeah, it's a lot of shrink tube. I need to find something to shrink it with. So it ends up being a blob like this. So yes, this shrink tube is 50 millimeters, 2-inch diameter, 3-to-1. It's a little bit too big. Didn't really close all the way here, but it grabbed in the middle. The bigger diameter is really well, and you can always go with the electrical tape and just tape it one more time, just for the safety purpose. But otherwise, that's what it's like. A really big chunk of metal, and since it's too long, I guess I'm going to either, I don't know, I can loop the wire, or I can just, yeah, I could have cut it somewhere here and just worked with this large thing somewhere here, but I wasn't too comfortable to do. Well, basically at this point you just reassemble everything, and I guess this cable can go and fit into like gaps here, like so. And that's I guess that's how this will be. I don't see why not. Yeah, I think that's how this. Let me finish this real quick, and I'm going to show. There's this yellow cable yellow plug that just plugs here. I don't know what it is, what it does, but there's a box that just plugs there. So I guess this is the final result of this. Yes, you probably should make this cable too long, because it just becomes too long, and as you can see, this is not the final, I guess, but I looped it right here. It can be looped in a different way, I guess, or tacked behind the battery, or it can actually be pulled into wherever it goes and looped somewhere else. You probably should do it the proper way and just cut it to the correct length. I just didn't want to do that. So that is the fix, really. You just replace this blown fuse with a repair kit. Using a repair kit, you replace it. It's time to, well, I need to torque those two nuts on the fuse on the battery terminal. I guess see if we can do a start test. Whatever blows, it just blows. It pushes the cable out. This part that goes over the battery terminal, positive battery terminal, and it just disconnects the cable. And this is a safety measure, I guess, to prevent whatever fires and shorts and such. Well, it worked. Nice. Well, so that fuse, the replacement kit fuse, was all good, and you can tell by just looking at it physically. In the end of this video, I just wanted to show what this thing works like. In essence, it's just an explosive device. This cable that I mentioned that plugs into the engine's, into the car's body, harness is basically a cable that transfers a signal to this explosive device. This little thing is nothing but just a barrel basically. There's a bit of a C4 but it's not really whatever they use in here. So once the signal gets to this device, it just basically goes kaboom and it pushes this part out. And I removed all the plastics, covers and jacketry, and once this thing gets pushed out, the plastic jacket or cover basically catches it and locks, so this port with the cable never goes back in. So basically it's going to be basically a switch, a separation that happens, breaks the electrical connection, and your car has no power after an accident or activation of this device. You can replace this, but also what you can do if you have no choice and you really have to drive your car until you fix this properly, you can just push the cable back into the battery's terminal. Well, this thing that goes over the battery terminal, it's a tapered, this boss basically, it's tapered, and there's a taper on the inside diameter, so these things are really, they match really well. And if you really push it, or even a bit on it, a little bit, knock it in, it will actually get it will stay. And that's how this actually is connected from the factory. There is a bit of a, so basically action of friction is what holds these two together until it activates and just separates, and these things separate. So that in essence is how this works. And like I said, if you have no choice, and if I knew, well, fixing this again improperly is going to give you the car. But if you fix it improperly, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. If you fix it improperly, you can drive your car, but you're not going to be protected the same way as you were from the start with the factory setup. I don't know if anyone cares about that or not. I kind of have never seen anything like this before. I don't think E90 has anything like this. But in essence, you can just reconnect these things together, and if you feel brave, you can just add a bit of a solder and solder these together and do a permanent connection. Of course, there's a question of whether the system is going to give you a fault code or not with this thing being activated. Don't know that, but well, maybe not. How many wires do we have? So we have only 2 wires here, so that seems to be like just an activation signal, but then you may possibly have some kind of a feedback from, maybe the system can read the resistance of this or something like that. So there is a possibility that BMW's electronics still can identify whether this has been activated or not. Don't know that, but it's E46, it shouldn't even have anything like this. It's a fairly old car, and like I said, it's fixable. You can make this a temporary fix or a permanent fix. It's up to you. You take the responsibility for what you do to your car. But in essence, I mean, it's a neat and an interesting piece of engineering, but I've never seen anything like this, like I said. So there you go. This is how this works. And well, German engineering, that's what it is. Oh no, shouldn't have done that. And 52, there is a hole between the runners of the intake, and now I have to fish that thing out. In any case, this should be it for this video.